friends. I wanted to share with you a very special presentation that I saw when I was at the Portland VegFest last weekend. This is a presentation that was given by Dr. Brooke Goldner, who is a doctor that cured herself of lupus by following a raw vegan diet. So I went and listened to her speak on Saturday, and I was extremely inspired by her story. Her story was a lot similar to mine in that, she had a lot of the same symptoms that I do, and she also had stage 4 lupus nephritis, which is what I've been diagnosed with. And just the way she talked about her story and how she went through her symptoms, and just was very familiar to how I am with my issues. So the fact that she has been disease-free, meaning all of her markers for lupus have been negative for the last 11 years, was very, very inspiring to me and gave me a lot of hope that I can possibly do the same in my own case by continuing to clean up my diet even further than I have. I've already given up meat and dairy and gone vegan, but I still eat a fair amount, well, not a fair amount, I still eat some processed foods, and that I would like to clear that out of my diet as well. So I wanted to share her presentation with all of you. I do have a number of friends that also have lupus, and I'm hoping that perhaps this can be helpful to them as well. I know not everybody is, ready to hear of other options out there and other types of treatment for chronic illness, but I truly do believe that there is a strong connection between diet and health, in that a lot of the issues, a lot of the diseases that we face are preventable simply by changing the way that we look at food and changing what we eat. So it seems and sounds pretty simple, but it makes a lot of sense. At least it makes a lot of sense to me that, food can definitely heal. And when we give our bodies the right food, our bodies are magnificent. And it's amazing the power that our bodies have to heal us and take care of our bodies. So I wanted to share this with you. She also has a book, a couple of books actually. One is regarding smoothies, and the other one is this one called Goodbye Lupus. And I'm currently reading this book right now. Very good book. She also has a website, and you can find her at www.veganmedicaldoctor.com. You can also find her on Facebook. I believe if you put in her name, Brooke Goldner, I think the Facebook page comes up. And she also has a YouTube channel. So if you're interested, go check out her website. Go check out her YouTube channel. She's got a lot of videos up there. And I hope you all enjoy this presentation. I would be very interested to hear your thoughts. So if you have any comments or questions, just post them below in the comment section. And yeah, so here we go. I'm gonna share with you her presentation, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care.
Get healthy. That you have other people in your life want to get healthy. All givers in the crowd. Awesome. Thank you so much. How many of you want both? All right, you guys are in the right place. My name is Dr. Brooke Goldner, and I want to welcome you to Healing Autoimmune Disease with Supermarket Foods. And before we get started, I just wanted to thank the people at VegFest. These guys worked so hard to have this whole thing going and speakers going, and anything I asked for a booth, they're running to do it. Just give them a round of applause. Dragged me all the way from Austin, Texas to come up here. You're awesome. So, and I also want to give thanks to all of you guys guys sitting here. There's so much to look at here and a lot of snacks. How many of you have had a lot of snacks today? Yeah, I made some rounds on the snacks. Yeah, there's a lot to do. There's a lot of speakers to see. There's so much fun to have here. So the fact that you guys are here right now means a lot to me, so I'm not talking to myself. But you're also showing up for yourself, and everybody in your life whose lives are going to change because of you, you're showing up for them too. So I also want you to give a round of applause to yourself. So, is it right, since we're going to spend a little bit of time together, is it right if I tell you a little bit about myself and how I started doing all this? Yeah. Awesome, because I'm going to, so. So, as I said, I'm a board-certified medical doctor, and I'm an author, and I'm a teacher. I teach doctors, hospitals, lay people. I've taught at colleges, anyone who listen really about healing. But before all that, before I became a doctor or anything else, I was a patient. And when I was 16 years old, I got very sick, and the doctors told my family that I had 6 months to live. I was diagnosed with a disease called lupus. How many of you have heard of lupus? Well, I'll see almost everybody. When I was diagnosed, it was rare, but it's becoming more common, like every disease. And at the time, I had stage 4 nephritis, which means my kidneys were failing, and the lupus was attacking my kidneys extremely aggressively. And so they thought by 6 months from then, the best case scenario would be that I'd be on dialysis, and the worst case scenario was I wasn't going to make it. And the medications they had at the time weren't strong enough to stop the kidney failure, so they wanted to put me on an experimental treatment. Now, this is a treatment nowadays that they use called chemotherapy, cytotoxic chemotherapy. And nowadays you do hear about people with lupus going on chemo. You know, Selena Gomez, she's getting chemotherapy right now. And the theory behind it is autoimmune disease is a disease where your immune system gets so chaotic and so confused that it'll start attacking your own organs. And it doesn't know the difference between an infection and a kidney. And it will literally start destroying your organs one at a time. And lupus is a disease that kills people when they're young. We lose people in their teens to 20s usually. And those that live tend to be disabled. And so chemotherapy, the side effect is it suppresses your immune system, right? And you've heard of that, people with cancer on chemo, they usually die of infections, right? Because their immune system stops working. So what they thought was, we'll put her on chemotherapy so that we can stop the disease from killing your kidneys, like Control-Alt-Delete. And it didn't work, but they weren't sure how long to do it because it was experimental. Nowadays, they do it maybe a week or two at a time. They did it for 2 years straight for me. So from 16 to 18 years old, I had chemotherapy every month. And the downside is it was chemo and it was horrific. The upside was it did save my kidneys. But I remember, you know, what I remember most about that time, it was really difficult as a 16-year-old to really understand my own mortality and what that really meant. There was no Google back then. So thankfully, I couldn't really Google and find out what it all meant. But my family understood. And how many of you parents in the room? Yeah. So for me, I remember very clearly my mother, she was so strong in person, but at night I could hear her crying behind the bedroom door. And I also will never forget seeing my grandmother on her knees begging God, please, just take me and spare her. It really tore my family apart. But I'm going to give away the ending for you guys and let you know that I made it. But it was really tough. So, you know, what that did was the chemotherapy put me in remission, and I started college a week after I finished chemo. And I was able to control the disease. I was considered in remission. So is remission a cure? No, remission means it's currently not killing you, right? So I still had arthritis. Any blood test said I had lupus, but I wasn't dying at that moment. It was stable. If I didn't get a good night's sleep, I'd get arthritis or a migraine, but I was stable. And I was able to get through college that way. But then I decided to really listen to my doctors. They said, you know, if you have autoimmune disease, always get enough sleep, avoid stress, right, and avoid the sun, right? And so I said go to medical school, and not a really great choice. I avoided the sun very well in medical school, but avoiding stress and getting enough sleep didn't work out, and I actually got sick again in medical school. I actually passed out in the clinics because I had a mini stroke. I had a new antibody caused by the autoimmune disease that was actually causing blood clots to go into my head. And I'd had double vision for a few days, and then that happened. And so at that point, I was about 26 years old. And once again, I was facing more mortality, but once again, there was a medicine that I could save me. They told me, for the rest of your life, you're going to have to inject yourself with blood thinners. But that'll stop you from having a major clot stroke or a pulmonary embolism, but don't hit your head because you might bleed into your head and die from that. So it was a rough 2 weeks. I think I took 2 weeks to mourn it and cry and say, you know, here I am, like I was doing so well. And then I just went back to that place of gratitude that at least there's something that can keep me alive. And I'm going to graduate medical school because that was my dream. The way I got through illness, and I encourage this for any of you that know someone who's struggling, or if you're struggling yourself, you can't let the struggle define who you are. You got to keep your eye focused on what you want from your life. And so for me, I knew none of us know how long we have, but I wanted my life to matter. I wanted to help people, and I thought if I could help save people the way my doctor saved me, I could help people not suffer, then my life will matter and it'll be worth something. And that's why being a doctor kept me focused on getting through the illness. And so I was grateful, even though I knew at that point that I'd never be able to have children. People with lupus often die in childbirth, and with the blood clots, I was definitely someone who would have a stroke if I tried. And I knew that I would probably be disabled by my 50s if I lived that long. But at least I had my goals and my dreams that I was almost there. And so I was happy in spite of all that. And that is when the most incredible thing happened to me. Right in that time period, I met this man right here, Thomas Tadlock. He's a really, really handsome bald guy in the front row. Oh yeah! Now, I never believed in fairy tales or fate or any of that until I met this man. I was a scientist. And we fell in love so fast. A month into it, he was talking to me about marriage. Now, when you have a disease like lupus, and you meet a hot guy, you do not lead with the lupus story. So, a month into being together, I had not talked to him about my disease. We talked about our hopes and dreams and spirituality and all the cool things to talk about with someone that you meet, but not about that. But when he talked about marriage, I knew that it was time. And so I had to tell him I have this disease, and I'm not going to live a long life. I won't be able to have your children, and you're going to end up taking care of me before I die at a young age. I understand that this isn't what you want. And he only hesitated for a moment, and he just looked me in the eyes and said, I'd rather have a short life with you than a lifetime with anybody else. And I said, oh my God, let's get married. You would have thought that. It's amazing. I did not dream of a white dress. So, you know, when you wear a long white coat, you can cover everything, you know. And so I was on the best diet possible to be overweight and unhealthy at the time. I was on the hospital food diet. Anybody ever have hospital food? Oh yeah, when you're a medical student and a resident, that's what you eat all day long. And so that diet is guaranteed to keep you sick and unhealthy and overweight. And so I was about a size 11, and, you know, but I could hide things well under my coat. But we wanted to get married in Maui, and just very intimate. And so I went, you know, I want to look great at my wedding, just like every other woman does, right? And at the time, my husband happens to be a celebrity trainer. You might have seen him before, Thomas Tadlock. So he was working with MTV at the time, helping, you know, if somebody would party too much in New York and then have to be in a music video, you know, so they called him up and he'd have to go to New York and train them. So I'm like, I want to look like MTV. So he agreed to train me. But here's the thing. The diet that he used, he's a scientist in metabolism. So he knows how to get people's metabolism very fast. So when you apply exercise, they lose weight really quickly. And they get muscular and all that. But his programs, although they were high in raw vegetables, they were high in omega-3s, they were high in water, they were also high in meat. I had not eaten meat since I was 12 years old because I love the animals. But I was pretty much a cheesetarian. So we had to make a compromise on the diet. And so he knew that the most fattening food you can eat is dairy. So I had to give that up. And he had to get rid of the meat. And so our two diets coming together created the most incredible program for me. I accidentally became vegan. And not only did I look like this 3 months later, I don't show before pictures, so you're going to have to imagine. That was just a few days before we got married in Maui. I lost over 20 pounds, and I went from a size 11 to a size 3 in about 3.5 months. But that wasn't the coolest part. The coolest part for me was how I felt. For the first time in my life, I had amazing energy. I had zero aches and pains. I was working 30-hour shifts as an intern, And I had energy with no pain at all. Normally that would have killed me with lupus. And so right before we left for the wedding, my new doctors at UCLA, they had to take my blood test because I moved from Pittsburgh. And so they took my blood test, and right before we left for the wedding, the doctor called and said, your tests, there was a mistake in the lab, so we're going to just retest when you get back. I said, what's the mistake? And he said, well, they're not your labs because these are negative for lupus. I went, okay, well that's not right. So at this point I did sick for 12 years. So we went and had a blast at the wedding, came back, retook the blood test, and he goes, now I really don't know what to tell you. I said, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, the tests are still negative for lupus, but now they're negative for the blood clots too, and your genetically high cholesterol just dropped 30 points. I'm like, okay. so we didn't know what happened. We just thought like maybe this is like the love is doing a good job on me or something. We weren't sure. Yeah. So we didn't know what happened, but I knew I felt so good. I was just going to keep eating like that. And because I felt amazing. We had no thought that this could have possibly healed me because I just graduated medical school and I knew diet had nothing to do with disease. So it couldn't have been that. So you laugh, but it's true. Right? So here we are at our wedding. And 4 years later, well, first of all, a year after I'd been sick, finally I go to the doctor and say, why am I still injecting myself every day with blood thinners? I don't have blood clots, and my tests are negative. I said, what are we doing here? And he goes, I think we're treating my anxiety. Because the doctor's nervous, to take somebody off their meds. I mean, people with lupus, we don't go off our meds. So I finally went off my meds after a year. And then 4 years later, I decided to do the impossible. I knew my body was different. I wasn't sick anymore. And I knew that I could now have a normal life. I could feel it in my bones. And so I convinced my husband to do something that scared the crap out of everybody in my life, and decided to get pregnant. And to be pregnant with my first son, Solomon. And when I got pregnant, we went to an OB, and she freaked out because people with lupus often die in pregnancy, especially someone who's had a stroke. She's like, oh God, no. So she sent me to the high-risk OB. The high-risk OB sent me back and said, this woman's healthy, I'm not doing anything with her. So my OB took ultrasounds, like every other week. She was freaking out that something happened. But I had a healthy pregnancy. And 10 months later, I had a healthy little boy, Solomon, and actually he was butt first, so I had done a C-section. And even with the C-section, doctors hovering around waiting for me to get sick, nothing happened. I was perfectly healthy. And so, yeah, pretty awesome. And so here's where we really realized something was up. So first of all, I feel fine after giving birth and pregnancy, which that's usually the big trigger. I have so many patients that come to me that actually develop lupus pregnant, so this is unusual to begin with. Then we go home, and 9 days later is my birthday. It was an early birthday present. So my mom says, let me watch Solomon while you guys just run across the street to eat dinner. You can run back and nurse him as soon as you're done. Just go out for your birthday. I said, okay. What am I going to wear? I've been wearing pajamas ever since I got home from the hospital. So I got home and I was like, all right, I just put clothes on. And I was able to, 9 days after I gave birth, with the same jeans on I used to wear before I got pregnant. That was me 9 days after I delivered. So we realized, okay, wait, something weird here, because I gained 40 pounds during the pregnancy, I promise. And so we said, there's something weird here, because first of all, what you always hear women complaining that they can't lose weight after pregnancy. And here it just came off. And I wasn't exercising, I was nursing, sitting on the couch in my pajamas. But, so that's unusual in itself. And then somebody who was supposed to be sick, and I'm not sick, and my husband and I started to realize something happened here, because this body no longer wants to be sick, it no longer wants to be fat. This body just is responding to whatever challenge comes up immediately, and as soon as that challenge passes, it just goes back to what it needs to do. And so we realized something had changed biologically within me, that I was not sick anymore. And so we spent the next year and a half really reverse engineering everything we'd done. And we looked at it in terms of cellular biology. What is it that I've been eating before that could cause inflammation and immune dysfunction on a cellular level? And what is it that I've added to my body that could possibly facilitate healing? And what we realized after looking back at the research was that we had accidentally created the most anti-inflammatory diet physically possible. And when we realized that, we said we need to start testing this. And we started putting people through the nutrition plan, and we were getting the same results with them. People with incurable diseases are getting off their medicines. And so we realized that this was something that we had to devote our lives to. And by the way, I did it one more time. That's being pregnant with Alex. That happened 2 days later. These are my two goofballs. So because of the success that I had, by the way, this year it is 11 years that I'm 100% disease-free. You can take any medication. And so this is not remission, this is not that I'm asymptomatic, is that my blood tests are negative for any disease and they have been for 11 years. And so because of my story and because of what I've been able to do with other patients, that's where really I've had a lot of attention come through, where I have my book about lupus that became a bestseller in the pre-order stage, and been on the cover of Being Health and Fitness magazine multiple times. And there's a documentary playing here tomorrow night, Being You Alive, that I'm in with Samuel Jackson. I'm in a movie with Samuel Jackson. Who would ever thought that was cool? So that's where all of this came from. So what I'd like to do with you guys today, normally I will take a full day to teach what I'm going to try to run through with you. So I'm going to use my New York roots and go quickly as I speak. But what I'm going to teach you is quickly the 6 steps to healing with supermarket foods that I explain in detail in my book. And then I'm going to actually introduce you to real people who have healed using my protocol, so you can see people with all different kinds of diseases that this is working for. And then I'm going to give you 5 pieces of advice that I give every person who works with me personally, so that you can start healing yourself and the people you love today. Sound good? All right, let's do it. Say, let's do it.
Let's do it.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so the 6 steps really quickly, because we can't, this could take a whole day in itself. So the first 3 steps are you want to avoid inflammatory foods. The most inflammatory foods that you can put in your body that cause immune dysfunction, you're probably not going to be shocked being here at VegFest. Number 1, it's going to be animal products, meat and dairy. They feed directly into the system, creating arachidonic acid, which then creates the immune cells that create inflammation. So it directly feeds inflammation in your body. Animal products, processed oils, so sunflower oil, safflower oil, all the different types of oils. The only oil that doesn't directly cause inflammation is olive oil. So if you must use an oil, use that one, but it does gum up the works of cellular signaling, so you don't want to use it a lot. It's not a health food, don't drink it. I saw it on the news once, they're like, drink olive oil, don't do it. Someone lived to 100 and she said she drank olive oil, so they were saying we should all drink alcohol. Don't look at the mutants, okay? Don't pick the one weird thing they did. Look at what else they do. So very sparingly if you need one, but other oils do cause inflammation. Processed foods, they directly cause an immune response to your bloodstream. A few minutes after you eat them, you can measure a change in your bloodstream immune system as if you got an infection. So when you're trying to get rid of immune dysfunction, you want the immune system to relax and be calm. So anything that triggers it is going to trigger the autoimmune disease. And if you're triggering it with every meal, you're going to continually perpetuate that inflammation. Now realize that the inflammation will trigger your genes, and your genes are going to be different than mine. So growing up like me, eating macaroni and cheese and pizza all the time, that caused lupus at 16. Somebody else who ate the same diet as me is going to get heart disease or cancer. It's going to trigger their genes, but the inflammation is what starts that pathway. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Oh, you guys, I like that. You guys are more responsive. And then the 3 steps to healing are: 1, you need high amounts of raw vegetables, specifically focusing on cruciferous and greens. Okay, those are, and you want to eat them raw. Right? When you eat large amounts of them, you will create the amount of phytonutrients, vitamins, and minerals that your body actually needs to do the healing. See, I didn't heal myself with the food. The food gave my cells the tools they need to heal themselves, because your cells know how to do that, right? If you get a paper cut, you don't get out your sewing kit, do you? Seriously, right? No, your body knows how to heal, your organs know how to heal, but they need the right nutrients to do it. You can't build a house unless you have all the materials, right? You can't build your body unless you have nutrients. So high raw foods, high water intake. I usually recommend for healing, you want to go for at least 96 ounces a day. For a lot of people, that's more than they've ever had in their life. But the water facilitates every chemical reaction you need to take place for healing. If you're not having water, even if you have nutrients, you're not going to be able to get the level of healing you need. Now, water is underestimated in terms of how important it is. Most people are severely dehydrated. Water is the primary cause of constipation. People will start drinking when I start talking about this. Primary cause of constipation as well. Cheers. If you know someone with constipation, water. I'm telling you this. People don't realize this. See, your water is absorbed in your colon. All right, that is it's like a water slide that transits everything through your body. Okay, I want you right now to picture what it would be like if you know those water slides that are like the tubes you go down. right? Now, imagine you got into one of those and there was no water. You'd just be like, that's your poop if you don't have enough water. You'll never forget it now. If you don't have enough water, it gets stuck. If you have enough water, right out. Water, people. It's also the number one cause of migraine, is dehydration. And it's the number one cause of low energy. If you've got low energy, you either don't have enough raw vegetables or you don't have enough water. Those are the two reasons. It's not a caffeine deficiency. There's no such thing. Okay? Right. So, and the last thing you really need is omega-3s. Omega-3s, so flax seeds and chia seeds, those become a part of your cell membranes and allow them to actually have the ability to do the healing work they need to do. They also protect your brain, they do all sorts of amazing things, and they are the ingredients you need to create the anti-inflammatory immune cells. So most people, they get 0 omega-3s, and they get tons of animal products and processed foods and oils, and guess what their body makes? Inflammation. That's it. If you don't have omega-3s, you can't fight inflammation. So everyone say, I'm going to get my omega-3s.
I'm going to get my omega-3s.
Hold you to it. Okay, so let me introduce you to some people to show you how this works, because I think it's more fun that way, don't you? So I'm going to introduce you first to someone named Kathy. Hi, Kathy. So when I met Kathy, she was 60 years old, and I met her over Skype. See, I'm kind of a doctor from the future. I see everybody online. So I can travel and teach, and then I go to my hotel room and put on my headphones, and I Skype in, and your doctor's here to see you. So I Skyped in with Kathy. She had chronic lupus, and she, when I met her rheumatologist had already put her on a plant-based diet. How cool is that? Don't give up on your doctor. Times are changing. We're trying, okay? So he's a plant-based doctor. I think he's in Michigan, and he sends people to me because oftentimes people with lupus, they get better on a plant-based diet, but not all the way, because it doesn't have all the components, and that's my expertise of wondering cellular level, what are they missing, what do we need to tweak, right? So you put her on a plant-based diet, and that's awesome, right? So, but what she was eating was mainly rice, beans, potatoes, and cooked vegetables. This diet will work for you if you're already healthy. It can keep you where you are, but it's not a healing diet, you understand? So because it's missing what did I tell you are the healing foods? Raw vegetables, omega-3s, right? And she wasn't really drinking much water either. And she had some improvement. She was still in severe pain, had severe fatigue. She was in constant pain all the time. She was unable to stand up out of her chair without pushing down on the sides because her legs were so weak. And what we did was that she had to also use a claw tool to put her own pants on, so she couldn't bend down to put her pants on. So you'd have to get those claws that you used to take stuff off the shelves. She would use those to pull her pants on because she couldn't bend down. And she'd been unable to go up or down stairs for 2 years. I want you to remember that number. 2 years she couldn't go up and down stairs. The reason this was important is, as her job at the mental health clinic, she was supposed to run a meeting that was up 2 flights of stairs. But it had been 2 years since she'd been able to do her job properly, and so she didn't feel like she was really doing her job. And that's why she was deciding at the time that with being exhausted after work, going to bed by 9 p.m., or by 7 p.m. she's going to bed, and still exhausted at work at 9, she's saying, that's it, I'm just going to retire. I love my job, but I can't do it anymore. I think I need to accept that I'm disabled. And her doctor said, before you give up, can you just call Dr. Goldner and just try her plan for 4 weeks, and then decide. So I got a call, and she said, all right, I'll do whatever you say for 4 weeks. And I said, that's my favorite thing to hear, let's do it. So at the time, she was 209.5 pounds. So this is what happened. So my 4-week hypernutrition healing protocol for lupus recovery is a big mouthful, but doctors like to say things like that, you know. So just a rapid healing and detox program. For 4 weeks, what happens is people go on the program where they communicate with me every single day. You have a food journal, and every single day you have to send me your food journal, and then I'll go over it and say, here, fix this, go through, you know, change this, and we make sure every day is better than the last. Because if you don't have access to somebody, how do you know you're doing it right? So I check in with them every day, and they focus on the raw vegetables. They can have raw fruits and seeds too, but we use green smoothies really as a way to deliver huge amounts of raw vegetables at once. The flax seeds, omega-3s, flax or chia, and large amounts of water. We do that for 4 weeks. And this is what it looks like. So she did this on day 4, dramatically decreased pain and increased mobility. I get this message. Great day, my pain would be a 0.5. 0.5 out of 10. So someone who was disabled by pain, 4 days later, has pain 0.5 out of 10. I'm just so excited that I have more energy and don't hurt. It makes walking the dogs easier, cleaning the house, and walking around at work. All she wanted to do was normal stuff, walk around. And this is a great day for her, 0.5 out of 10. If there was a medicine that could take someone from 10 out of 10 to 0.5 out of 10 in 4 days, it would be the sexiest drug on the market. Day 6, energy's improving, full range of motion in legs and hips. And I get this message. I love Kathy. Energy was good today. It was hard kneeling down. I had 2 flat tires today, so I had the opportunity to complete repairs. I was uncomfortable, but able to tolerate the job. It's amazing the decrease in symptoms I noted yesterday. A woman who couldn't put her own pants on, 6 days into the diet, changed 2 tires and was a little uncomfortable. Incredible, yes? That's 6 days. Day 8, no pain. That's 8 days later, same as before, no pain now. Just morning stiffness. She wrote mild stiffness in the morning, gone by 11 a.m. Stiffness gone by 11. Today's a good day, no discomfort in quads walking uphill. So now she's going for walks. She wasn't sitting at home because she wanted to or she was lazy. She was sitting at home because she couldn't move. And as soon as her body let her move, she was out. She was enjoying life. She was moving. By day 10, her rheumatologist started tapering off her meds. So here is a woman who is on tons of medication, still symptomatic, still unable to get out of her chair. 10 days after changing her diet, her doctor's taking her off her medications. And this is, it says up there, results typical. This is what I typically see. Usually within 2 weeks, people are pain-free with chronic disease for most of their life. She wrote, my rheumatologist started tapering my steroids. I can walk without feeling like I'm wearing cement shoes. As a matter of fact, I walked uphill today and didn't even think about it. I was able to go on a short bike ride of 2 miles. I haven't ridden a bike in over a year. First of all, short bike ride of 2 miles. But here she is, all coming off her medicine, exercising more than she ever had in her life, and not being in any pain at all. And that's day 10. By day 13, she's able to walk her dogs twice when she gets home, and I get this message from her. Day 13, what does it say?
Aww.
What does it say? I can walk up and downstairs. How long has it been since you walked up and downstairs?
2
years. 13 days of drinking green smoothies, eating raw foods, having omega-3s and water, and this is what happens. It's pretty amazing, yes? We're only halfway through. Let's keep going. Great. Progress is freaking awesome. All right, let's see. Day 21. She's down 8 pounds. Energy's at an all-time high. She said, I'm not falling asleep after taking my meds in the evening, which is pleasant. I can stay awake till 10:30 or 11. Pleased with the weight loss over, but not as much as my energy. So here's someone who was in bed by 7 before, now is exercising maximally, pain-free, and she's got energy to watch the Late Show. And day 24, high energy, full range of motion, upper and lower body. How do I know this? Because I get this message. Able to work 2 hours splitting wood. I was sore for about an hour after, not bad. Every time Kathy sent in her journal, I'm like, what? Are you serious? I'm from New York. I don't know people who split wood. But apparently it's a thing. And here's a woman in her 60s who split wood out back who was considering herself disabled less than 3 weeks before. Day 28, she finishes the program down 9 pounds, first time in her life under 200 pounds. Pretty good, yes? You can give Kathy a round of applause. This is the power of food. This is considered impossible, and yet this is what I see every single day. And some of you might be wondering, so what happens afterwards? Everyone of you wonder, so when the 4 weeks is over and she starts eating her potatoes again, does she end up disabled? Is anybody wondering? Got a couple nuts yet? Here's the cool thing. So you can do it this way, do 4 weeks of eating all raw, and then add other foods back after you get the results you want. But just keep the healing foods. So keep drinking your green smoothies and eating your raw foods. Keep getting your water and keep getting your omega-3s. Then you can eat all the cooked vegan food you want. You can eat your beans and potatoes and all that kind of stuff, and they'll be fine for you. I consider them healthy foods. They're not necessarily healing foods. So she added that stuff back. So I check in with people. Once you work with me, you become my family. And I continuously, not every day, but every once in a while I send a message, how are you doing, and give a call, something like that. So I emailed her and asked her how she was doing 7 months later. And I got this email back, still no joint pain, yay. What books from work in my Bible study group have asked me to share my green drink recipe. Staying as close as I can to plant-based living is better for me. Have I been totally vegan? No. I've had beef, venison, fish, and cheese probably 7 to 10 occasions since I started the Lupus program. I could tell my body was unhappy with that program, and I'm back to eating green. So the important thing is she's eating plant-based most of the time, and when she does eat meat or dairy, she feels like she has a hangover, right? But she's still not in any pain. It didn't bring the disease back. And that's the most important thing. When you're already healthy, your body can deal with an injury like eating an inflammatory food and then be able to keep keep going versus when you're doing it all the time. Does that make sense? So even 7 months later, with her cheating about once a month, she's still completely pain-free, and that just continuously reminds her to go back to what works for her. Is that awesome? You guys want to meet somebody else? Yeah. Okay. Well, before that, let me actually show you Kathy. So it's Kathy before, that's Kathy after. So you see she's having fruit for her birthday instead of a cake. And here's the coolest thing. So just recently, she sent me this picture. She has a longtime partner that she loved very much, but she wasn't really planning a future with her because she was planning disability instead. Well, she's been feeling so good, they decided to get married. And she sent me this picture of them hiking in the Grand Canyon together. And for me, this is what my job's about. It's not about pain, it's not about symptoms, it's about people being able to live their lives. She thought her life was over, and now it's just beginning. She's got zero pain, she's married, she's enjoying, she's hiking the Grand Canyon. And that's what I live for those stories, for seeing people getting back out there and being able to live their lives again. I'm going to introduce you to another person. It's a young man named David. And David, when I met him, he was 25 years old. And he'd had lupus, scleroderma, and Sjogren's since he was 15. All three of those are deadly autoimmune diseases when you have one. And he'd had all three. He'd been in the ICU for 4 months at one point. And his doctor, this was the best he could do on medication right here. You can see he had an extremely swollen face. That rash was extraordinarily painful for him. He had swollen legs. This was a 25-year-old man's legs. And this one's difficult to look at, but he also had, because of the scleroderma, his skin was so hard that if he tried to bend his fingers, it would crack open. And so he had infections all the way to the bone. And they wouldn't heal. It was disfiguring his bones because these infections wouldn't heal. And it was so painful, he couldn't even button his own shirts. His mother had to put his clothes on for him. 25-year-old man. And the doctors told him before he met me that the only thing they could do for him was amputate his fingertips. So his mother saw me at an event, and saw me speaking, and she came running up to me and she said, "I've been praying, and you're the answer." I went, "Oh goodness, that's a lot of pressure." But she said, "I want you to meet my son. I want you to see if you can help him." I said, "Absolutely, I'd love to." So I got on Skype with David, and we talked about the 6 steps to healing. Now, David was 25, and he ate the standard American processed food diet. He had a 7-Eleven next door. So he ate a lot of processed junk food and a lot of... Okay, we'll start with what you can do. And here's the great news is, if you start by adding what you're missing, you're going to get a major improvement in your health. When you do all of the steps, it's even better. But anywhere someone's willing to start is a great thing, okay? So if they can start by adding, then we do that. That's what we did. And just so you know, his goal, when I ask, when I meet people, I don't ask them, how do you want to feel? I ask them, what do you want from your life? And he said, I want to work. He said, I managed to get through college, but no one will hire me. I show up at a job interview and people won't even look me in the eyes. I can't get a job. And I said, okay, so we're going to work on getting a job. So he agrees to drink, he starts drinking 90 ounces of green smoothie a day. That's some serious green smoothie, okay? And the way I recommend you make it is 75% greens. It's a healing smoothie. It's not like a bunch of pineapple with 4 leaves of spinach in it. You know, it's like a real, we put the omega-3s in it, we put the flax seeds in it, and the water. So here's what happened. So we did hyper-nourishment. That's what I call it, because we oversupply the nutrients your body needs, because your body needs to not only deal with the current daily functions it has, but we wanted to actually do healing work too. So we do huge amounts of these foods. So he does hyper-nourishment, but he doesn't do the complete protocol, and his skin still clears up. He's also drinking a gallon of water a day. Within 2 days, dramatic improvement in his energy and mood. 6 months later, he told me that he had almost no pain at all, and he was able to get a job as a case manager in Long Beach, helping young men learn how to overcome adversity and start getting jobs in the community. Really cool. So he was so excited. He was considered in remission at this time. So he was still taking medication, but a lot less medicine than he ever needed before, and he was asymptomatic. So for him, this was an incredible outcome. He was really happy. But here's one of the cool things that happened is not only was he able to move his fingers again so he could get himself dressed and function, but he also found out that he was an artist. And he had this art inside of him that he'd never been able to express because he couldn't use his fingers. Well, I stayed in touch with David and his mom. His mom carries my book in her purse to show people, so we stayed in touch a lot. And when we were giving an event in LA, my husband and I do an event called Amazing Fitness and Health. And so he came to the event with his mother. And he relearned the 6 steps to healing with supermarket foods. And he went, you know what? I forgot, Dr. G, I'm not doing the whole program. I'm still eating meat sometimes. He goes, you know what? Forget this. find me a tree, I'm going vegan, let's go hunt that tree. I said, all right, let's do this. So here we are. So 2 years he's been able to maintain this remission. He goes full vegan, 100%. 2 months later, I check in with him. His skin is glowing now. His joints are completely flexible and pain-free. And I get this text from his mother, Linda. Guess what? David's rheumatologist is taking him off all of his medications. And I wrote back, wow, didn't see one come? Because I text how I thought. That is the power of doing it 100%. So getting great results, adding what he was missing, but 2 months after giving up the meat, he's 100% healed. And he has been ever since then. 100% symptom-free, blood tests are perfect, and off all medication. Let me show you what it looks like. Here's how his hands are completely healed. You can see there's some disfigurement of the bones from the infections, but you can also see there's blood flow and clear skin all the way to the fingertips. And he has full function of those fingers. No more chopping off fingertips. Here's what his face looks like. Isn't he handsome? And you can see, look at the eyes. The depression has gone from his eyes. Beautiful young man inside it now. And he wants you to see him go to work. Here's he is dressed for work in his collared shirt. And that's his three-dimensional art he makes. He's now been displayed in multiple galleries in LA. So people are receiving his gift all over the place. And at work they call him the rabbit. And so on his birthday they give him a whole bunch of cards. But he's inspiring people there as well. He's actually on his second promotion now. He's running the show over there. So again, when I look at the kind of work we're doing here, this man is now living his life. He is having an amazing life, not only giving back to the community and helping young men get jobs that were suffering as well, but also creating amazing artwork that nobody even knew was inside him before. And so, you know, for me, I believe every one of us has a gift we were born to give to this world, and when we're sick, we can't give it. And so he has amazing gifts that he's giving now, and it just, I'm in tears all the time every time I talk to him. He's so amazing. So he actually had a message that he wanted to give him and his mom. Do you guys want to see them real quick? Let's see if it works. Yes. Are we able to turn up the volume?
Today's cat was diagnosed with lupus, a swelling down and shoulders.
Thank you. I was going to say thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jim. Thank you very much for giving me a life, my life back, you know, and not just a life, but a life where I can, you know, prosper.
I just want to say thank you so much because, you know, just all that I went through with my son, for you to just give him his life back.
Pretty cool, huh? So you give them a round of applause. There are so many people out there right now who are suffering with these diseases all over the world who can be healthy and strong just the way they are, who can be living their lives and giving their gifts. And I have so many of them I want to introduce you to, but there's just simply not enough time. Let me see if I can. There's one other person I'd love to introduce you to because she had really, really cool effects. So her name's Sarah, and she's one of those people that she wasn't diagnosed with autoimmune disease, but she had pain throughout her whole body. Do you know anyone like that? It was just every joint. She's in her 20s, and she already had pain throughout her entire body. And so she was suffering greatly. But were you guys able to hear the video before I played? I don't know if you were able to hear the video. And so she also had chronic bladder inflammation, just anything you can think of, depression, anxiety, all of that. And so she learned to eat this way, and I think she gives a really good explanation of what it feels like. So a lot of people think, well, I'm going to be drinking green smoothies and stuff, I'm probably going to hate my life, I'm not going to feel very good. But it absolutely transforms your level of energy and vitality. Most people tell me within the first week they don't want coffee anymore because they've never actually felt nourished enough to have energy. You know, there's no caffeine deficiency going on here. You know, if you have low energy, that means you're malnourished. Most people have never been nourished their entire life. So I want you guys to listen to her to understand more about what this really feels like. If there's a way to put up, she's talking. Is there a way to turn up the volume on the videos? Yeah. All right, just so you can hear it better, because I didn't hear it at all. You guys could hear it. It was just a little bit. Okay.
Just want to get a little bit of Amanda's walking time conversation.
How about music? And for those of you who want to see more cases and learn more about it, this is the last one, so I'll be out there after I'm done. And so I'm happy to talk and show you more. I mean, I have so many, but I wanted to at least introduce you to a few where you can learn about it and get some hope. Okay, you ready? All right, let's see. Let's try it and see if this works better. So this is Sarah. Oh, wait, no, it's not Sarah. Hold on. Let me try moving it down. 1 second, guys.
My name is Sarah Grover. I was suffering chronic pain for over 10 years. I was 203 pounds. I was under the care of 7 doctors, on 9 medications. I had multiple surgeries on joints, and I was struggling big time. I was so discouraged. Fast forward, with Dr. G's guidance, I have been pain-free. I have had 0 flare-ups. I have gone to 0 doctor's appointments, and I have not been on any pain medication. I am so thrilled. I'm 147 pounds, which is just a side effect of everything. I never did this to lose weight, but boy, is that a perk. To have these nutrients and to feel the energy after being so lethargic and so fatigued and so drained, I could not be more grateful. Thank you, Dr. G. I could not do this without you. You have given me the true gift of health, and I can't wait to continue this journey on healing. I can't wait to inspire others. You inspire me every day. You are Wonder Woman, and I am so grateful.
So it's pretty cool, huh? So here's someone who's in her 20s. Sarah Austin. So in her 20s, already had multiple joint surgeries and chronic pain, and there was nothing they could do but inject steroids into her joints to try to help her get relief and give her tons of medicine. And then they would call her med-seeking because she was getting so many painkillers. Turns out she wasn't trying to get drugs, she was just in a lot of pain. So here's the thing, so some of you might be wondering if there's side effects to eating this way, and there are. So first of all, she described one. Fat will just keep falling off of your body effortlessly if you drink large amounts of these green smoothies, the way I do that, so that's a side effect. There's one other side effect. See, your immune system is responsible for a lot of things in your body. And so one of the issues she was having also was she had something called HPV. Have you guys heard of HPV? All right, it's a virus that causes cervical cancer. And she already had precancer of her cervix that she was battling as well. And I actually got this message from her just a couple weeks ago that I wanted to share with you as well. This is some side effects that she had.
Doctor, it's Ellie and I just got a call from my OB/GYN and called to tell me that my PAP was normal. I haven't had a normal PAP since 2009. She thought it was false and ran it again. I am so grateful, and not only do I not have any precancerous cells, she couldn't believe that my body fought it off because the lead said that the cells were still there in the margin. So we anticipated a little bit, but not only that, my HPV came back negative. We never thought we'd ever see that. Which means I'm no longer a high-risk patient because I don't have a chance of getting those precancer cells again. Thank you, doctor. I can't wait to catch up. Holy moly.
Yeah. So we develop cancer cells every single day. Our immune system gets rid of them. But if our immune system's not functioning properly because we've got chronic inflammation, it can't fight the cancer off and it grows. So here's someone who already was developing cancer and nothing could stop it, and now it's gone and the virus is gone, which means she won't develop those cancer cells again. So it's just another, it was something that we weren't planning on, and it just happened. Her body got so healthy that it just looked for more stuff to fix. And that's what I've seen happen, is that people come to me for one issue, and all of the other issues just start clearing up. And once you're 100% super healthy, then your body starts attacking the aging, and it gets rid of your fine lines and wrinkles and other things. And so you start getting younger internal organs and your skin as well. So another side effect is that you become become younger and younger internally and externally. So you just have to deal with that. Yeah, those are the types of side effects. So I'll give you just a quick run through. There's so many, I get messages every day from people who have not only had healing just from reading my book. Other people see me one-on-one on Skype for consultations and I do the 4-week program. But I get messages every day on Facebook and otherwise. Here's some of them. This person here, she started doing green smoothie recipes and she had a one-on-one consultation with me and she's finally able to play with her children again and pull on her own pants. It's amazing when you have arthritis to know what this is like, just from changing her diet. This is somebody else, type 2 diabetes. She's doing my 4-week protocol, so it's not just for lupus. And so 4-week protocol, 1 week into it, eating fruit, she dropped 7 pounds and 100 points off her blood sugar. Just 1 week after eating this way. Also no more brain fog, high energy, 3 more weeks to go. Here's someone else, multiple sclerosis. Met with her one time and over Skype to teach her how to eat. 4 months later, she went from bed rest, unable to move anything but her eyes, to back to work as a police officer, symptom-free. 4 months. And here's another person. He had kidney failure from autoimmune disease, and I'll read just this quote. My specialist asked what new drug protocol I was on because my kidney function was almost normal. Protein leakage had reduced significantly. I told the specialist I had not started any new drug treatment. In fact, I'd reduced my medication. The specialist was speechless. He didn't know what to say. And so this is what I always tell people. If you're a doctor, I am now grateful that doctors refer people to me. About 50-60% are doctor referrals, and the other 40 to 50% found me and their doctor said it won't work. And I always tell people, if your doctor says it won't work, stay with the doctor so they can watch you get better and then they learn something. The best thing you can do for those doctors is let them learn from you so that they can do better for other people. It'll change everyone else's life. So let me just really quick, you guys want to learn what all my clients get to learn about how to get started right today? Yeah. All right, cool. So step number 1, if you want to change your life right now when you're leaving this, step number 1 is just add what you're missing, which is this, okay? If I see a lot of people who are vegans who are still unhealthy. If they're unhealthy vegans, this is usually why. If you were downstairs eating the snacks, you know it is very possible to be an unhealthy, fat, sick vegan, right? We can eat processed foods all day long. Don't do it. At least add what you're missing. So if you're going to have processed foods, or even if you're going to have a cheeseburger, at least make sure you're giving yourself what your body needs to get the nutrients that actually keeps you healthy and alive. All right? So I want you to focus on that, but add what you're missing. Now, if you're not like me, if you don't enjoy a nice big kale salad the way I do, you can do it this way. And my husband and I have called that the smoothie solution. You pack a blender 75% full of greens, use fruit after that for flavor, throw a handful of omega-3s in, flax or chia, water, and you can literally put a straw in it and know you've got your nutrients in for the day. So if you guys want to take a picture, here's one of my healing recipes that you guys are welcome to have with you. Go ahead, take a snapshot. So it's 75% any kind of greens you like, buy power greens in the store, or kale, anything like that. And then 25% fruit. Frozen fruit's easy. It doesn't matter if the fruit's fresh or frozen because we're just using that as flavor. And then you put a handful of your flax seeds in there and then use water or almond milk and you just blend that up. And then you can just drink that for the day. You know you got nourished. And people ask me how much to drink. It depends on your stomach size. So this is my 7-year-old. He drinks about 20 ounces every day. That one has blueberries, so it's purple. My 3-year-old is a linebacker who has the same size stomach as my 7-year-old. So he drinks about the same. I have about 40 ounces in the morning for breakfast, and then my husband, he just drinks a lot of it. So whatever your stomach can hold. I can't do that. That takes me a whole day to do. But whatever your stomach can hold. Can you do that? Can you add what you're missing?
Yes.
All right, cool, awesome. And this is great for any of you who have resistant friends or patients. I have people who've never eaten a vegetable in their life. They're willing to drink these, as long as I don't take anything from them yet. But once they start drinking these and they can feel the difference in how their body feels after a smoothie versus a roast beef sandwich, they start craving the good things. And that's part of the gift. That way you don't have to push them to do what they want to. Step number 2, start now. Don't wait for New Year's, okay? Don't do it. Don't make it so big where it's like, after I get the junk out of my fridge, I'll do it. That's like a smoker saying, let me finish my pack and then I'll stop smoking. What can you do now to make yourself healthier than what you've been doing the rest of the day? Could you add an apple to your next meal? What can you do? Can you add a side salad? And don't make it so big that you feel like you're going to fail if you mess it up. Just try to figure out what you can do better next time or right now than you were doing before. Can you do that? Awesome. 3 is celebrate every win. That's actually me on a Skype call with somebody with my party hat on because she'd done something awesome and I knew she wasn't going to celebrate. Anybody here really good at thinking about what you did wrong, but not that good at celebrating what you did right? All right, 2 people admit to it. Okay. Most people I talk to can give me a laundry list of everything they messed up, but they were really bad at celebrating what they did right. They're like, oh, I should have been doing that all along anyway. Right? So the reason we do things over and over again is because it feels good to do it. It's why they had a kindergarten graduation for my son. It was a graduation to celebrate that he was doing more school. Right? But it felt good to do graduation. It made him want to do more school. Does that make sense? So post it on Facebook, get some likes, call up the friend you know will celebrate, not the critical friend that's going to, make, but like the friend that's going to say, yeah, right on, you did good, and celebrate. Can you guys do that? Because that's going to help you succeed. This one is one of the most important ones, is to focus on your why. My husband and I renewed our vows last year, 11 years married and 11 years lupus free. This time with the little buddies there. They interrupted a very romantic moment, but it was awesome. You got to focus on the reason why you have to do this. If you don't focus on your reason for why you've got to change your life, it'll be a battle of willpower. It'll be, do I want the green smoothie or the donut? And there's only so long that you're going to do it where the green smoothie will win and eventually you'll pick the donut, right? Anyone ever been on a diet? Okay, the only reason, eventually we go off the diet because it's like you have a feeling in your mind that this is, it's just like, it's a battle of willpower. Here's the thing. When you focus on the reasons you are alive, the reasons you must live and be healthy, when that's the primary thing in your mind, it's no longer about willpower. For me, my why is that I have the most incredible husband that I'm going to grow old with now. And we have 2 beautiful, amazing kids that I love being a mother to that I was told I could never have. And on top of that, I also know there are millions of people suffering and dying from diseases that they shouldn't be suffering from. And I have a message that they need to hear so they can get their lives back. And so for me, there will never be a donut or a cheeseburger that's going to pull me away from eating the way I do, because my why is too big. And so you guys all need to figure out what that is for you. Every one of us has a reason for being here. Every one of us has a gift inside of us that we were meant to give. And you need to focus on that. For some people, it's just being a parent, or a friend, or a son, or a daughter. And for others, it's their passion for work. And sometimes we have to figure out what that is. And what I tell my clients is, before your feet hit the ground in the morning, you lay in bed and you close your eyes and you think about your reasons why you have to succeed. And you do it till the tears run down your face. And then you let your feet touch the ground. And I promise you, there won't be anything sitting out on the kitchen table that's going to distract you from what you need to do for yourself. And the last one is you need to find a supportive community. A lot of people I see who fail is because they felt all alone. Any of you guys are like the only vegan you know, or you don't know people doing stuff? In Portland, you must know a lot. There's some places where I speak where it's a desert. But you need a community that's supportive. You need people who are all trying to do what you're doing that can support you. My husband and I, we realized this, and we wanted to give a gift to the world because we know that not everybody can come see us at a talk. Not everybody can get a consultation, but everybody deserves support and healing and health. And so we created a group called the Smoothie Shred, and we started this. It's a completely 100% community for people who want to focus on their healing. And it started out as a challenge, but after the 4-week challenge was over, everybody begged us, like, don't leave, this is the best thing we've ever been in. So it's a free community that's on Facebook. If you go to smoothieshred.com, you can register for free. We don't sell in that group. It's not about that. We just give education, love, and support, and everyone in it just agrees to drink a green smoothie every day. You don't have to be vegan, you don't have to, none of that, although people tend to want to be after they experience it. But it's all about love. It's about getting exercise and green smoothies in. And it's got almost 3,000 people from all over the world who are just giving each other so much love and support. It's actually, we're in tears almost every day. I'll just show you that real quick. I mean, these are people who in 4 weeks lost 15 pounds, 8 pounds, 11 pounds, 9 pounds. These are 4 weeks. This person, blood pressure went from high blood pressure to normal and lost 15 pounds in 4 weeks. Another person, she got off of her anxiety medication and her sinus medication and lost 11 inches and quit coffee in 4 weeks of doing the green smoothies the way we teach them. And so these are just random people I pulled out. This isn't like, I'm not cherry picking. These are just people who are right off the site. Someone else with lupus who is unable to move, who's now running again. So that's our group. If you want to join us, as I said, it's 100% free. And it's just, we give all of our attention. We answer all the questions and make videos for people just to let people have a community where they feel loved and supported. So that's it for you guys. I am so happy to have been able to meet with you guys today. It's been a real honor for me to get to be your teacher. So I'll be sticking around for questions. And I'm almost sold out of books. I didn't realize how many people wanted books. So I have less than 20 books left, but I'll be out front over there for anyone who wants one. Otherwise, we can get a picture together or something, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.